Well, good morning, sun worshipers. This is George McClellan coming to you on FetcherNews.com TV, North Georgia's only live internet talk show. I see you have somebody clicking in, watching from northeastern United States, Maine and Vermont, maybe New Hampshire. Well, glad to have you aboard. Brian has covered a lot of territory in his 2 hours today. I have one, and I will follow. I will try not to repeat what Brian says, but I want you to understand that there's so much out here that the media is trying to hide by not even talking about it, that it is shocking. They are pushing the news that they are pushing this business about Donald Trump being a womanizer, et cetera, and digging up people from 30 years ago. Who's going to believe the press on that? If they pay these women, they advertise for information detrimental to Donald Trump. Who's going to believe these people now? I got to tell you. However, I did come across this, and I think this is very interesting. Brian Pritchard just interviewed the Trump chairman here in Georgia, Hazleton. And this is I'll just read it. It says, the following has recently been published on Facebook. I am the author, not me. And as the nominal chair of the Trump campaign in Albemarle County, and I think that's in Virginia, near Charlottesville. If such a title exists, I would like to address the current melee among Republicans regarding our presidential candidate's locker room talk, which occurred over a decade ago. Do you suppose these tapes just surfaced? Of course not. Hillary has been sitting on them for months, and they are designed to distract conservative voters from the issues. This is a no-brainer, but congratulations to Hillary. It has worked. The Democrats knew that Republicans would turn against their candidate for these particular infractions. They knew it would dominate the news and that the disintegration of our nation would cease to be an issue. Well done again, Hillary. I find it mind-boggling that our country is about to disappear before our very eyes. Under Hillary, our nation will fall into bankruptcy. Our Constitution will be nullified. Our borders will be flooded with illegals, including terrorists, who will expect to live off the public purse. Our cities will be under nuclear threat from Iran, North Korea, and possibly Russia. And we will have rendered ourselves helpless with an ineffectual military currently under gender diversification training. Thank you, Obama. No nation in history has survived as a debtor nation, and once the Fed takes its finger off the interest rate button and the dollar ceases to be an international currency, we will be Germany 1923, the Weimar Republic. The devastation that was Europe after World War II will happen here, only there will be no wealthy, generous nation like the United States who will step forward and help pick up the pieces. Our future will be very, very ugly, and the apocalyptic scenes that our young people watch on the screen will become a reality on our streets. Now let's get this straight, the author says. The one man who broke through the stifling political correctness, who had the brilliance, the fearlessness, determination, focus, dynamism, and iron will to create his own real estate empire, has been rejected by his own party because he talked like millions of other men nearly a decade ago. We Republicans are a tragic lot. We are just too good for this world. We accept the overwhelming corruption of the Democrats, but reject our own when they offend our sensibilities a decade ago. I confess, I live in the real world. It does not surprise me that the elder George Bush, that's George H.W. Bush, had a mistress. Yes, look it up. When Barbara discovered, she stopped coloring her hair. Jeb Bush was a notorious womanizer. That too would have come out eventually. Ted Cruz had 5 affairs, even if you don't believe it was 5. I certainly would have sued had I been listed as one. And anyone who has eyes that could see that Amanda Carpenter was an ongoing one. Is this why his wife suffered depression? The list could go on and on. Politics, power, money, sex, all in one package are found in Washington. And not just on Capitol Hill, but in the D.C. press corps as well, of which I am a member, this author says. And how could anyone be so naive as to think that there are no huge egos on Capitol Hill or anywhere in the world of power politics? If you want to find Mother Teresa, look elsewhere. Fellow Republicans, having a large ego is necessary and sometimes sufficient for running for political office. Any politician who pretends to be selfless and self-effacing has just been pulling your legs, my friend. Now, let's step back a bit and leave our sensibilities behind for just a moment. In literature, there are what is known as round and flat characters. The flat characters are one-dimensional, cardboard cutouts. They are predictable. They are boring. Maybe foils to the round characters. They are the extras. They lack true heroic status because they are too perfect. Turn them around and you see the same side. They do not engage the imagination, and we learn nothing from them. Then there are the round characters. They are the characters who are drawn with a fuller knowledge of human nature. They remind us of people we know. Human beings are not microbes, but they are complicated. We have complexities, inner contradictions, self-doubts, regrets, from which we grow into being rounded, more developed human beings, assuming we learn from our experiences. Now, if you ever have read any of George Eliot or Tolstoy's novels or read Shakespeare plays, you will find these so-called characters that are really larger than life. Donald Trump is a round character. He is multidimensional, but oh dear, naughty. But while you can shake your finger at decade-old naughty talk, you know that Mr. Trump also raised fine children and has a stable family life. He laughs, he jokes, he gets angry, he breaks the rules, but he is a man of vision with the courage to confront and to run circles around the legions of journalists, along with the Vatican presidents of Mexico, the Saudi prince, and a British petition, who have conspired to bring him down for over a year. There is a name for this, and it's called courage. Most men under that kind of pressure would have long ago wilted, run away with their tail between their legs. For 8 years, our Republicans in Congress have run from Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and the press like scared little bunnies. Their policy has been appeasement. They have put their stamp of approval on Obama's entire agenda. Donald Trump is not an appeaser, but his major flaw seems to be that he likes women. And if you've been watching, women seem to reciprocate. We have here on our hands a colorful personality, not a cardboard cutout, and not one who pretends to be anything other than what he is. He is not a saint. Winston Churchill, too, was an outrageously rude, crude, vulgar, and highly eccentric man. He made big mistakes in Gallipoli during World War I and spent a decade in the political wilderness as a result. Neville Chamberlain, who ran Britain between the wars, was very popular with the British, with the Paul Ryan style insiders, and I mean our Paul Ryan. Chamberlain appeased the Germans, ignored the arms buildup of Germany and their violation of the Versailles Treaty, and continued on the road to disarmament until it was too late and Britain was on the verge of disaster. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does. Churchill was brought to power by the British people, you know, the riffraff, the ordinary folks who are quite willing to overlook the warts and choose a man with the steely determination, the oversized ego, the strength, and the willpower and the only man in British politics capable of saving them. Frankly, Americans have not seen that kind of leadership for over a generation. We don't know what it looks like. And so we disparage what millions of Americans, the little people, as the Brits would call us, know how to be intuitively true. The Donald Trump is a leader, and he has shown us that much already. Pity the poor Republicans who have it within their reach to save our nation from destruction, and we allow ourselves to be derailed by the carefully planted October surprise delivered to us by Hillary Clinton, the poison dart, the 2016 version of the totally absurd Sandra Fluke birth control episode of 2012, which was designed to convince voters that Mitt Romney was against public-funded birth control and therefore against women. They are too clever for us. We are easily manipulated, it would appear. The Democrats know us better than we know them. They know that they can throw a red herring like birth control, bathrooms, or locker room talk, and we will run off the cliff like lemmings and hand the election to Hillary Clinton. And now you will have to make the decision of a mature, practical adult. You are offered two alternative realities. Do you want to push the lever for Hillary Clinton, Saul Alinsky, George Soros ticket with Obama's water boy for vice president? Will you take over after Hillary collapses? Bear in mind that Obama has made preparations for this by purchasing a mansion with a 10-car garage in the Kalorama area of Washington, D.C., so that he can continue as a shadow president. Do you want to live in the slavery of a one-party dictatorship? Or do you want to be a pragmatic grown-up and vote for Donald Trump and Mike Pence and live in freedom and prosperity? Frankly, I no longer have faith that the Republicans are capable of saving our nation from the ongoing disaster. We no longer understand how to operate within a power-driven framework. We blame the uneducated Democrats, but our fatal flaw is far worse than that. We are handed the opportunity to victory, and we turn our noses up because Andy Griffith is not our candidate. That was a brilliant piece of literature that I had to share with you. And on today's, my final thoughts on today's show, I limit my essays to one page, which is around 631 words, and I talk exactly on that subject. My essay put out today, I made a mistake on it. I called somebody Bill Bailey when I meant Bob Bush, I think, or Bill Bush. But I will correct that later, but when I read it. So anyway, there we are. Somebody who has the wherewithal to tell us what it is. And I'm getting signaled that it is time for our break, so you can watch these wonderful announcements again and support our sponsors. See you on the other side.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jan. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. Or listen to jazz. Or try my hand at needlework. Or open a door for a beautiful woman. Or read a human interest story or make dessert wine. Or ride a wild horse. Or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Good morning, final worshipers. We're back from our break. I'm George McClellan coming to you from Fetcher News Television or fyntv.com. This is George's Hour, Monday through Thursday, on George's only live online internet TV show. I can be reached at 706-889-9700. If you want to email me, george@fetchernews.com. I'm not the chief. Anyway, we hear this disturbing news from the media that Hillary has already got over 300 electoral votes, enough to be declared president, and that Trump doesn't. But yet we still see, as was pointed out by Brian and Jennifer, thousands of people show up at Trump rallies and only dozens to 100 show up at Clinton's rallies. Is that the true test of a vote? I think Georgia's not in play. He's going to go for Trump. And these are scare tactics by the media who have already presented themselves as less than reliable and untrustworthy. So do you trust them? Perhaps. It might be safe to say, yeah, you trust them. But what Trump must do now, Trump has this little trait in his character where you attack him, he's going to attack you right back. And he's going to make it hurt. But right now he's doing it with tweets. Now, I don't use tweets. You'll never see my name on a tweet because I just don't use tweets. Tweets is a minefield. It could blow up in your face as easily it could attack somebody else. But he must, I think, stop attacking Paul Ryan. I don't care about Paul Ryan. They say Paul Ryan, the Congress is Paul Ryan's. The Republican Party is Paul Ryan's. No, it isn't. Paul Ryan passed the omnibus bill with some lame excuse that was already there and he couldn't stop it and off it went. Well, in that omnibus spending bill, which is more debt, is included funding for Planned Parenthood, all of the programs that Obama wanted, save one. And so Paul Ryan is not a Republican friend. He's one of those who think they're taking the moral high ground by abandoning Trump. But he can't say so up front. He says he's just not going to campaign for Donald Trump. Okay, fair enough. Donald Trump probably doesn't need him. And another news item today, a U.S. Navy ship responded to missiles fired from Yemen. Now I can tell you I have spent long time in Arab countries, a lot of time. And Yemen is at the bottom of the list of accomplishments. It's an Arab country, has been there for thousands of years. It's almost biblical in its age. And most of those people still ride camels, trade camels for wives and daughters, and they're not capable of launching missiles. The Iranians have done that. And the only people attacking the Yemenis right now are the Saudi Arabians, and they're doing lots of airstrikes. The U.S. Navy, in fact, there's a video out now. The U.S. Navy has sold a ship, a twin-hulled Navy ship to the United Arab Emirates, and the Yemenis fired off a missile that hit that ship and blew it up. So yesterday, the U.S. Navy launched 3 Tomahawk missiles on sites that were painting them with radar signatures. In other words, looking up the missile, looking up targets so they can launch a missile at a U.S. Navy ship. Those sites were immediately destroyed, 3 of them. And apparently, our feckless president okayed them to do that, because if a U.S. Navy ship got hit and did not respond to this weakling we have as a president, then Hillary Clinton would be doomed, because what's the problem over there right now is her problem. So anyway, we're moving on to Hillary. At least we are responding. Now, you remember when the 2 motor patrol boats were seized by the Iranian Republican Guard Navy 3 or 4 months ago, and the sailors humiliated. Those sailors were told to stand down. They were ordered to stand down. Somebody ordered the officer aboard to order his troops to stand down. They could have chewed those little old bucket boats that the Iranians had to pieces. However, I think I would have, if I was president and I would have had a flight of B-52s circling over that little tiny island on the south of Iran, where that Republican Navy comes from, right in the mouth of the Gulf of Hormuz, and just start dropping bombs on it until it's a burning cinder. Everything, ports, supplies, ships, people, everything. Those are military islands. Anybody living there is just simply living there because they work for the Iranian Navy. And then that would be a message delivered, definitely a message delivered. And I would have my B-52s or my B-1s or B-2s, whatever vehicle is in that air doing that. I would have them protected by aircraft from the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps flying off aircraft carriers. If they want a war, we can give it to them. We can definitely give it to them. We've given them a nuclear weapon, and whether they're capable yet of launching it, I don't know, but we can sure bring them to a close. It's coming, whether we like it or not. In the news today, Hillary's emails, Hillary's State Department gave special access to very important people and friends of Bill. Emails obtained through a Freedom of Information Act by the Republican National Committee revealed how senior Clinton Foundation officials coordinated with top Hillary Clinton State Department officials to give special treatment to people identified as Friends of Bill's, FOB, Friends of Bill, or WJC VIPs, WJC meaning Bill, William Jefferson Clinton. In the wake of the email scandal now engulfing the Clinton campaign. Interesting here, a little side note, a longtime friend says Bill Clinton is Jekyll and Hyde. A new email leak reveals the Clinton campaign is deeply concerned about Bill Clinton's public sexual escapades. One of Bill's childhood friends and former romantic partners says the truth is even worse than they fear. And this woman is Dolly Kyle, Kyle, who has known Billy Clinton since she was a young girl in Arkansas, and had a long-term romance. My. What the press won't do to protect the obvious. Right out here now in the news, and the press won't release it. The mainstream media won't report it. Emails obtained through, let me see, was there already? This little article is called The All-Out Assault on Our First Amendment Rights. Well, there we go. The Constitution has long been subject to attacks from individuals hostile to its guarantees of freedom, economic opportunity, and limited government. But in recent days, no other provision has been as widely and intensely attacked as the First Amendment. From the IRS targeting conservative groups to those trying to limit the ability of Americans to freely practice their religious beliefs, to membership organizations being forced to disclose their donors, the First Amendment is being assaulted on all sides. This tactic is right out of the Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. Americans are familiar with the recent attacks on the religious liberty present in everything from the bakers who refused to bake a cake for a gay couple and then were fined thousands and thousands of dollars, to the pizza parlor up in some little podunk town where a writer, an alleged journalist, was just trying to find out if somebody would not serve a gay person because they were gay, and picked some little gal in a restaurant, and she said, "Oh no, I can't do that." And then they went berserk on that. We have the Hillary. This is what Hillary Clinton is bringing to us and bringing to our government here very shortly. I cannot stress enough how important it is to not let that woman become president of the United States. And if her health is really as bad as it looks like, that's one reason for keeping her out. But if she should succeed and become president of the United States, then die, then that moron from Virginia, Tim Kaine, with his harmonica, will be the president of the United States. Will be the president of the United States. I do not know how we can possibly withstand that. Our country. Ted Cruz, he said that he will stand behind Trump regardless, because Clinton is an absolute disaster. So he will maintain his support for for Donald Trump. And here's an interesting news point. It's the smoking gun. Hillary agents embedded deep in the news media. So who doesn't know that? Major media, mainstream media outlets now have some explaining to do after the latest WikiLeaks email release reveals reporters, editors, and contributors not just advocating for Hillary Clinton, but apparently colluding with her campaign. Emails show Univision chairman Ham Saban urging the Clinton campaign to hit Donald Trump harder over immigration. According to the New York Times, we already know now, it has been revealed that Donna Brazile was given the questions that the moderators on the last on NBC's presidential debate last Sunday had for Hillary Clinton. She was already prepared for it. Now, the sad thing is, it is also being revealed that Hillary's teleprompter or whatever it is she has in front of her, instructions from the staff, they tell her to smile, and she says smile instead of doing it. I think the woman is not as swift as we think she is, so we are in big trouble. I mean, I just don't know how America withstand this woman. Now, I've always wondered why Obama could just issue an executive order demanding this and that, and then have it done. You know, it could be nullified by inaction, not doing it, throw it in the trash, losing it, forgetting about it. They did that to old Richard Nixon when he was president. He couldn't figure out why people were ignoring him. Well, the machinery, the bureaucratic machinery, just chose to ignore him. Not in Obama's government. Those on board are on board because they are Alinskyite socialists / communists, and that's where they want to take this country. And they're almost there. They're seeing themselves really, really, really close to their goal. And it will not end well for us. How about the staffers, Clinton staffers, mocking Catholicism as well as evangelicals? Can you believe that? Why is that not an issue in the modern media instead of Trump's 30-year-old, these two women coming up blaming Trump for touching them on a first-class airplane 30 years ago? Who believes that? I don't believe it. Do you believe that? Is it even important to you to believe that? I can't believe it. The women are probably hitting on Trump. He was not a bad-looking young fella back in those days with a lot of money. Hillary's campaign communications director, the campaign communications director, and a liberal think tank fellow mocked conservative Catholicism as an amazing bastardization of the faith. Quote, an amazing bastardization of the faith in a mocking and dismissive email exchange released by WikiLeaks. My goodness, can it get any worse than that? These people are absolutely dissing everybody, and we're worried about Donald Trump and his words. Now, Donald Trump is the leader. I think Donald Trump has the power and the ability to move us out of that vortex of corruption that this ship of state is going into. And I think that Donald Trump needs to press on. But he's got to press on only by focusing entirely on Hillary Clinton's criminality. Bring it up. Keep it in the limelight. As long as Trump has got the stage, for whatever reason, the cameras are focused on him, and he continually harps on Hillary Clinton's criminality. And leave Paul Ryan alone, leave the rest of the Republicans alone. They will get in line eventually. But then this situation can be resolved. So we have I have a lot of subjects here that were worthy of bringing up, and I will bring up a few more on the other side of this break. So we'll see you there. We'll talk some more about Hillary Clinton and her foibles. One of them being Bill.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did
It's
you?
not important, Jan. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. Or listen to jazz. Or try my hand at needlework. Or open a door for a beautiful woman. Or read a human interest story or make dessert wine. Or ride a wild horse. Or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Okay, welcome back, my friends. George McClellan at FYN TV, North Georgia's only live internet talk show. We have things concerning us right now. It's Trump, Ryan, and the GOP civil war. They call it a civil war. I don't think there's going to be a lot of shooting going on, but less than a month away from the general election, the National Republican Party is descending into chaos, according to the author of this report. House Speaker Paul Ryan and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump have all but gone their separate ways. Ryan announced his intention to effectively cut Trump loose Monday and focus on the congressional majorities. Trump has resumed his sniping at Ryan. Stop it. You don't need to do it. Each man had to be dragged kicking and screaming into endorsing the other. While technically neither endorsement has been retracted, both men now seem to be back to square one. The proximate cause of the latest split is the recording of Trump's potty talk about women. And Monday's public polling, if you can believe the polls, confirmed what Republican internals no doubt showed after the story broke, that Trump had taken a big hit and threatened to drag Capitol Republicans down with him. But here's just one problem. Trump delivered a debate performance Sunday night that is likely to, and was likely, and did endear him to a large part of the Republican base. He followed it up yesterday in Ocala, Florida, and Lakeland, Florida, with two speeches that had thousands of people present, physically present, on hand, listening to him, cheering him on. And he is not losing the base. And the Republicans who flee are going to rue the day they did that. Grassroots conservatives have been waiting decades for a Republican leader to stand up on national television and tell the Clintons exactly what he and the right think of them. Trump did that, successfully changing the subject from his body talk with Billy Bush to Hillary Clinton's emails and the women who have accused Bill Clinton of actually committing sexual assaults, rapes. It was a gambit that could have easily blown up in his face. It didn't. Perhaps maybe, but I don't think so. At least he appeared on the stage in St. Louis later, having not only averted disaster, but rallying his troops, the thousands that showed up there. To Republicans in Washington, Trump is a millstone around the party's neck. I hope so. The party has not realized that they are at fault. They are at fault for the problems that they are now facing. Someone who confirms the worst stereotypes, Trump, about what it means to be a Republican, and who therefore may doom them for a generation with rising demographic groups. Let me tell you, if Hillary Clinton becomes president, you forget the future. It'll be a century before we are able to take over from those criminals. Many rank and file Republicans see it differently. They don't trust their party's leaders and governing class. I've said that time and time again. I've wrote essay after essay which reflects that very sentiment. They see a Democratic Party that fights for what it believes in, while their own party heads for the tall grass at the first sign of mainstream media trouble. And I've mentioned that. In Trump, they see what Abraham Lincoln, Hillary Clinton's new favorite president, and the GOP's first said of Ulysses S. Grant, "I can't spare this man. He fights." Sometimes Republicans get a little weak-kneed. Giuliani told reporters after the debate, "I happen to be a Republican with strong knees." I love that. It's a great line. Trump backers protested the Republican National Committee over the party's treatment of their candidate Monday. Paradoxically, the RNC is the most Trump-friendly official party in Oregon. One carried a sign using the same vulgar term Trump used to describe female genitalia, to instead refer to the party leadership. Oh my goodness, aren't we getting catty? So anyway, enough of that. I think it's time for my final words, and it's on the same subject, and I'm going to share that with you right now, if I can get it up. Here it is. Are we facing a reformation or a revolution? The media is trying to re-educate us, especially those that support the elite Republican old guard who think they have found an excuse to dump Trump. It may be a blessing in disguise because Trump, unshackled, returns to his roots attacking Republicans. Oh, the horror of it. WikiLeaks dumps have shredded any possibility of the media claiming objectivity, scheming with Clintons as they have done against Republicans, evangelicals, and now even Catholics. Before the second president debate, the revelation of macho comments made by Trump a decade ago and the gas media's and Democrats' reaction to it is all designed to drive conservative voters away from that awful Donald Trump, hopefully into the comforting arms of honest Hillary Clinton, hopefully soon to be America's first mother president. The leaked videotape was made by an NBC employee, a former Trump associate named Billy Bush, and named Billy Bush, and to be revealed at the debate. But nature intervened in the form of Hurricane Matthew and caused an early release of that tape before it could be edited to remove Billy Bush, and caused an early release that exposed NBC executives as cruel anti-Trump conspirators in effecting its release. Corporate screams of anguished denial ensued, followed by Bush's alleged firing. They didn't say it was Bush's fault. They just were blaming him. The larger issue here is that the Democrats long ago stripped morality away from America's social fabric, making everything deviant acceptable. To do that, of course, it was necessary, according to Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals, to demean religion, especially the Christian variety, that values morality very highly and as a necessary part of the happy living in the social family. Second, it was necessary to corrupt the media. The rise of pornography, gay marriages, pushing LGBT issues into people's faces, the persecutions of businesses that resist on moral grounds, the imposition of deviancy on their lives, has made the whole issue of Trump's comments as irrelevant, silly nonsense. Now comes, by way of the New York Times, who would have guessed, several women alleging that Trump inappropriately touched or kissed them 30 years ago. The Democrats are now in full panic mode, trying to put out the many fires they have started while starting even more fires. Trump doesn't wait for the enemy to take a second shot. That's a trait totally unknown to other Republicans. But he pointed out the offenses of Hillary Clinton's husband's sexual depredations against women by sitting 4 of his victims front row center at the last debate. Awkward for proud Bill. But because of a corrupted media, another Saul Alinsky rule, as I mentioned, Hillary goes scot-free, avoiding any tawdry association with the likes of those awful Republicans, their decadents, and their champion, Donald Trump. It is this very propagandized thought process that has infected Republican lawmakers over the decades that now cause them to flee in panic from their Republican nominee and join the chorus of approbation against Donald Trump for alleged offenses the progressives have made acceptable. Do you understand what I just said? Progressives made it acceptable. If these moralistic Republicans were to cast a glance over their shoulders, they would not see their followers there. If they believe they can achieve the moral high ground by doing so, they will find themselves in the quicksand of irrelevance and lost opportunities to save America. These are not statespeople. They're not statesmen. There is a change coming to America and American politics. The pot of corruption is boiling over, and the fires can't be stamped out. Will it be a reformation as Martin Luther ignited against the corrupt church in Germany and John Knox exported to Scotland? Or will it be a revolution as Robespierre fashioned for France? In any event, both of these historical incidents and others were long and bloody affairs. They were awful. Right now, America is full of potential victims. It's always the peasant class that takes the first hits. Then it's the politicians. Beware. Beware. Remember, freedom is the goal. The Constitution is the way. In our closing minutes, I'll cover a few more news articles. Samsung throws in the towel. It's a $17 billion towel on their Samsung 7 notebook. Who would have guessed when they catch fire in your hands and explode? Here's a neat one. Remember Debbie Wasserman Schultz, because of the WikiLeaks dumps that revealed her conniving against Bernie Sanders in the Democrat Party, she was replaced by a new woman who is now being shown as being involved in that dump. Most of you probably remember the rather ignominious departure of Debbie Schultz from her position as DNC chair. It came, at least in part, as a result of leaked emails which showed that the committee had their thumb on the scale in favor of Hillary. Electronics moves at its own speed, doesn't it? And against Bernie Sanders, the general sense of embarrassment around the DNC was palpable, and there were worries that Bernie voters would revolt and failed to support Hillary Clinton in the general election. Well, how about the Catholics now and the evangelicals? Will they revolt and fail to support Hillary in this election? But a new broom sweeps clean, right? Debbie Schultz was shown the door and immediately replaced with longtime party hack and activist CNN commentator Donna Brazil. There's that name again, Donna Brazil. At least that problem was behind him, they thought. But sports fans, not so fast. Yesterday's WikiLeaks dump contained some new goodies from the Democrat primary, and it involved none other than Mrs. Donna Brazil. So what was she up to? She was slipping a few notes to the teacher, which clearly seemed intended to help out Hillary Clinton. That was a comment from the New York Observer newspaper. The latest release reveals DNC Chair Donna Brazil, when working as a DNC vice chair, forwarded to the Clinton campaign a January 2016 email obtained from the Bernie Sanders campaign, released by Sarah Ford, Sanders' deputy national press secretary, announcing a Twitter storm from Sanders' African American outreach team. For your information, Brazil wrote to the Clinton staff, quote, "Thank you for the heads up on this, Donna," replied Clinton campaign spokesperson Adrian Elrod. So Donna was sending internal emails from the Sanders campaign to the Clinton team. How you explain this as anything other than collusion to help out Hillary is a mystery to me. It's a mystery to everybody else. Well, we don't hear a lot of it, but that was just dumped, and Trump should run with this one as well. He can pick it up. Now, as mentioned, Brazil was a regular feature on the Clinton News Network, CNN, all through the primary, and for a long time before as well. You can count the number of times you could hear Donna Brazil pining or giving her opinion on the Democrats' primary battle and prefacing her remarks by saying that she didn't have a dog in that fight. Well, obviously she did. So corruption turns its head another way. And we can beat that one to death. It's time to go another one. Women, are you worried about how the Affordable Care Act, and I always call it the Unaffordable No Care Act, because nobody can afford the premiums, nobody can afford the insurance until after they've paid several thousands of dollars of upfront expenses first. The whole thing is a sham, absolutely sham. This is another thing Hillary will foster on us, is a single-payer government health care program, which will strip us of any dignity and any money that we have left. At minimum, we have a marginal hope, and that's if we can put really conservative people in the Senate so they can stop Hillary's judges and stop the money spending and just tie the whole Clinton campaign up in knots and start impeachment processes as well. Those have got to happen. Those have got to happen. Impeach that woman. Impeach that woman. Right after she takes her oath of office, start the impeachment proceedings and try her and kick her to hell out, and let her be the first president of the United States to be kicked out of office by impeachment. Got to do something. We've got to do something. Hey, our Republicans won't do it. They will not do it. They're afraid. They are afraid. Anyway, we're coming to the end of my show. We've talked a lot about a lot of subjects. I want your opinions and your impressions and whatever you have to think. So call us 706-889-9700 or George at fetchernews.com. Leave your opinion, an op-ed if you want, and I'll say goodbye. See you Monday. Monday. I'll not be here tomorrow. You'll be up at Sycamore Springs. Bye.